Cool. We should be starting in just a few seconds. All right, hello and welcome. This is the Actualize Capstone presentations. My name is Brian Rice, and I've been teaching the 12 presenters you'll see here in a few minutes, the fundamentals of web development over the last 12 or so weeks. Each student has built a web app from an idea in their head to a finished product, and they are excited to show you those projects. So we are going to go through this one presenter at a time, and each presenter will be paired with one panelist. We have two panelists, Jay Wengrow and Joey Harbert, and I'll introduce those two in just a second. These students have been working on this project for about a month and a half and have gone through planning out database schema, project management, doing styling, and making sure their app is working the way they designed it or close enough to the way they designed it as possible. So very exciting time for me and very exciting time for them. So I'll introduce our two panelists and then we will start presenting. So first is Jay Wengrow, who is the founder and CEO of Actualize, and also a great boss. Jay, if you want to introduce yourself.
I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody, as Brian had mentioned. I know firsthand the tremendous amount of work that the students put into the capstones, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of them. Congratulations to all of you. Also, just want to take this moment to thank Brian, the lead instructor, for doing his uncannily amazing job in teaching. The instructor and cares about all the students and puts everything into it, and is also one of the primary creators of our online live format, because originally we only had class on campus, but then we want to thank the TAs as well, Lauren and Bart. Thank you for all that extra support that the students definitely benefit from. And that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Jay. Our other panelist will be Joey Harbert. Joey, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you're doing currently and what advice you would give to a developer who's just starting their first job.
Okay. Hi, as Brian said, my name is Joey Harbert. I am an Actualize alumni, so I too know the things that you have been going through in the last several months. So congratulations for making it this far. Yeah, I am a full stack web developer for a company here in Chicago. We're a marketing engineering company, and I work on the internal facing platform. I do work, since I'm full stack, I do work on both the front end and the back end. We do Angular and Angular JS on the front end and Java Spring on the back end. Advice for someone starting their first programming job. Well, I just started mine back in March, so it's still very new for me. I think one, obviously ask a bunch of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions or look stupid, because you're not going to look stupid. Like most of the time you're coming into something that's been fully created, and so you're going to have to learn where everything is, and that takes some time. Also, don't go in with the expectation that you're going to know everything very quickly. It's going to take a lot of time, and if it does, that's okay. That's what everyone expects. So yeah, just go in with an open mind, be as ready and as excited to learn as you were when you started this, and you'll be great.
Wise words. Cool. So first up, we will have Nikki, and Nikki will present, and then after her presentation, one of the panelists we'll ask some follow-up questions for her. So Nikki, your panelist is Jay, and you can start when you're ready.
All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki Hall, and I'm going to be sharing my app with you today. I hope you guys can see it, right? Okay, thumbs up from Brian. So, you know, when you're bored and you're sitting at home and you think to yourself, you know, what would be so much fun right now? A puzzle. So you walk over to your puzzle closet and you're looking through all the shelves of your puzzles. You're going, you know, I've done all these before. I don't want to redo a puzzle. Well, now there's an app for that because I made it. This is Rent.js, which is rent jigsaw puzzles. So that way you don't have to continuously buy new puzzles, put them together, and then store them somewhere. So now you can just rent puzzles and send them back once you've completed them. So I'm going to log in. And I'm going to log in as my sister. Shout out to Kelly. I actually didn't take the time to think of clever names or users because I tried to use all my energy on witty puzzle descriptions. So there's that. So we're going to come into our catalog and you're going to see all the different kinds of puzzles. You're going to see that they each have a name as well as a category, and you have more details. But the first thing I want to do just in case is I want to check my user dashboard because that's going to hold the information for myself as to where to send the puzzles to. So Ocean Drive in Bismarck, North Dakota. Perfect. All right. So that's where they're sending the puzzles. I'm going to go back to the catalog. I'm going to look through and flamingos. Flamingos look good. So I'm going to click more details just to get some information about this puzzle. Tropical flamingos. It's a pretty picture, right? They're just pink Florida chickens. That's the puzzle description. If you look over here, you'll see some more details for the puzzle. You've got the format, which is a square. The number of pieces, 3,000, that's a lot, so that'll keep me nice and busy. Categories, animals. Up here, I see that there is an average rating for the puzzle, but I think this one's really cool, so I'm gonna give this I'm gonna bump it up, give it an average rating of 4. And I think I wanna get this one, so I'm gonna add this puzzle to my cart. All right, my cart, but only one puzzle. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more than that. I mean, when you get puzzling, am I right? So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to look through again. There's lots of different stuff. You know, I kind of liked the space one. I'm going to get this one. Average rating of 3, 250 pieces. Okay. 3. All right. I think I'm ready to order. I think this is going to be okay just for, you know, a day or so. So let's order these puzzles. Come to my cart and I'll see all the different ones that I've had before. I've done a tree, I've done jellyfish, hot air balloons, all these different ones. Now I've got the flamingos. So excited. I get a little note down here that tells me, you know, thank you for all your orders and how much fun, you know, puzzling and being part of the puzzle community is. So I'm going to order some more because, you know, why not? There's always time. And let's see, more details. Sure, I'll add this one to my cart, order that up. I think I'm good to go for the weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. And that is my app.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
Jay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Nikki, this was fantastic. And I always thought JS stood for JavaScript, but I didn't realize this whole time that it's Jigsaw. So that's epiphany for me. This is
fun.
This is a really neat app. What was the trickiest part in building it?
Trickiest part was probably the view component for the star ratings. That was really difficult. That was a separate component written by someone else. So I had to take that specific component and add it into the rest of the app.
Got it. And with that star component, does that end up like saving to the database?
It does, yes.
Okay, and then the average that you showed there is like computed based on all the users' inputs. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So each user can rate a different puzzle, and so there's all the community of puzzlers are able to input their own rating.
Yeah. Well, this is a great, and I mean, it looks great as well. Did you design the look and feel of it?
Yes. Yeah, I focused a lot on keeping a simple theme, and instead of a lot of the bells and whistles, I was very particular, I realized, with the format of how it looks on the page. So that kind of surprised me.
Well, this is a really amazing app. Really nice job, Nikki. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay and Nikki. Next up, we'll have Ryan. And Ryan, your panelist will be Joey.
All right, can you guys see my screen? Cool, I can't see you, but I take silence as a yes. So my name is Ryan, and welcome to my permit database app. At my current job, I design electrical plans for residential solar.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ryan. I believe we cannot see your screen.
Oh, sorry. How's that?
Much better.
Cool. Yeah, so I design electrical plans for residential solar systems. And this app is like a user-friendly way to interact with a database to track permit rejections that we receive. So when we submit a plan set, if we receive a rejection, our team would come in here and then enter the rejection into the database by clicking enter new rejection. That populates a form here that has a bunch of pre-filled drop downs that the user can choose from. So I'll just go ahead and enter kind of a random entry here. And all of these boxes kind of correlate to reasons why we received the rejection, and makes it easier to track and figure out where we're getting rejections, why we're getting them, and where to kind of focus our efforts on having conversations with the city or the village and trying to eliminate those rejections. So we'll make this one in Parker, Colorado, Arvada City. And then say this is our test entry. So the note line is like the only part of the new entry that the user can manipulate. The rest of it's all pre-submitted forms. And then once you hit submit, this is essentially, it's in the database. So we can reference this at a future date, track the data, and go from there. If you want to, you can stop or edit that entry by clicking edit. That will populate that same form, and you can go through and change whatever you need to fix. Or there's an added feature where you can add a PDF here. Typically, when we receive rejections, the plan checker will send us like a Word document or a PDF that explains what changes need to be made to the plan set. And so the user can go in and then upload a local file so that we have it to reference later in the database. So we'll just upload a sample PDF here. And now when it takes you back to the page with all the same information we just input, there's a new line that says view correction upload. And that's the PDF we just uploaded. So clicking on that opens the PDF, and you can view it, print it, download it, or just leave it where it is because it's fine. And from there, you can also go to the all page by clicking all up on the navigation bar, or there's a shortcut on this little icon. And this just takes you to a page that shows all of the rejections that have been entered into the database. So currently we have 500 rejections total throughout the company. In this hypothetical, this is all made up data here. But you can view all 500 and scroll through them, or apply a filter here So let's say we just want to look at the rejections we've received in Colorado. You can hit Colorado and apply filter, and you can see that the number of filtered results went down from 500 to 15. And then we can quickly see that, like, okay, 3% of all the rejections are coming from the state of Colorado. And then you could filter that down even more by using all these drop downs, and it would narrow the scope even further. And then the last feature on the search is like within this filtered result, you can dynamically search in this box. So currently you can see all 15 rejections here, or you can shrink that by like just typing text. So if we did this is our test entry, it eliminates anything that doesn't have that text. So you can quickly search for notes or different text that you're looking for specifically. And then as you delete it, everything comes back and you have your 15 results again. The last feature of the all page here is this download CSV. So this will generate a report for whatever has been filtered on this page. So in this case, we have 15 results filtered for the state of Colorado. And if you hit download CSV, you can see a file starts to download. And I opened it earlier just to make this quicker, but this is what it spits out. It's a report that shows those 15 entries, and there's our most recent one, and they're all from the state of Colorado. So then the user has a report to manipulate or send to other people and just kind of analyze more data. And the last feature is the charts page here. It's just another visual way to pretty much look at the same data we've been looking at. So this is like all 500 rejections organized by state. So you can see 77 are in Cale, we got 58 in Florida, and so on and so forth. And then you can also change the topic to category, product, all these different charts that will just display the data based on the different inputs. And that is the permit database.
Thank you, Ryan. Joey, you can go ahead.
First off, this is so cool. The file handling is so hard. And not only do you upload a file, but you spit out a CSV. My mind is blown. This is so great. Way to go. Like, wow. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because that's awesome. Yeah, really, really wonderful work. What do you think, like what was the hardest part to implement? Okay, actually, so two questions. One, is this all built from the ground up? I'd suspect that maybe the graph may be an external component. Was this all you? Did you incorporate some other things? And if so, what was the hardest to incorporate?
Yeah, for sure. The hardest to incorporate, the chart was from highcharts.com. So that was all, it takes an input from a JavaScript object. So I had to manipulate all the data into a JavaScript object to display on the chart. And that was for sure the hardest part. And then the CSV upload and the PDF downloader, those were both frameworks from JavaScript as well. So the hardest part was definitely the charts.
It always is. Yeah. Well, fantastic work. This is really great. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Ryan and Joey. Next up, we have Deleasa, and her panelist will be Jay.
All right. Hi, my name is Deleasa, and I created Roam Around. Roam Around is an interactive travel app which encourages travel to places in the world that you may not have initially considered. I travel a bunch. It's definitely my hobby, but sometimes you just don't know where to go. So that's where Roam Around comes in. So we'll get started. Right up top, you can take a little peek at what I believe is Table Mountain in Cape Town, South Africa. And the way that the app works is trips are filtered by trip style. So we'll go through a couple of the different trip styles right now just to get a feel for what type of things are offered. So first up, we have Girlfriend's Getaway. And I'll just read the quote to give a little inspiration. We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. I'm going to go down a little bit more to the next trip category, which is couples trip. Wheresoever you go with all your heart. That's a beautiful picture of Brazil. And last but not least, fun with the family. One of my favorite quotes, if kids live there, then they can travel there. Gonna head down a bit more to trip styles. You pick the trip style and we suggest where to go. We'll take a quick look at some of these pictures up close just to get that travel bug all revved up. Right here, we have Cape Town, South Africa. Definitely one of the most beautiful sunsets in the world. This is Bali, Indonesia. Clearly very high on my travel list with that pink beach. And of course, always representing for the home team, we have Chicago, Illinois, which is the best for just about everything. Scroll down a bit, and this will take us to the sign up page. The sign up page gives us access to different trip styles based on location. So we would sign up here. I'll go ahead and sign in myself. I am most certainly in the mood for a good trip right about now. And then next up, you would move over to the trip styles page. Take a look here. And I'm definitely in the mood for a girlfriend's getaway. Have not been out with my girls in quite some time. So I used a Triposo API to filter the data for the locations by sightseeing score, and then each trip is filtered by common things of the trip theme. So maybe on a girlfriend's getaway, you might want somewhere with some good shopping, definitely good dining, wineries perhaps. Makes sense that Paris would be right up top as a recommendation. Looks beautiful. We can kind of scroll through and it gives you a list of different places that you can choose to start researching to travel to. Here, there's a list of locations in the database, so you can take a look at that as well. A little delay here. There we go. It started with Paris again, but this is a list of the full locations. And then finally, we go to the logout page. And I will forever be a registered nurse deep in my heart. So of course, I've attached a link to the CDC website so that when you find a location that you're interested in, you should certainly start here and make sure that when you travel, you are traveling safely. And that's my app.
Thank you, Deleasa. You can go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, Deleasa, this is fantastic. I am certainly ready to travel anywhere right now.
Yep.
So this is definitely apropos. Yeah, so it's a beautiful looking app. I'm curious to know more about, well, I guess the different categories. Like, how did you, was it like your own choice to decide which locations go in the various categories?
Yeah, I did it by my own choice. So they had a variety of different endpoints, and I was able to filter through those different results, kind of see and get a feel for what that trip style might look like based on endpoints in the API.
Got it. Can you tell me more about the API? What is the API?
Yeah, so it's Triposo, and they have an abundance of locations around the world with just basic information. They have sightseeing scores. If there's wineries, they have winery scores and pictures and everything, really just to start compiling that information before you go on a trip so that, you know, you're pretty knowledgeable travel when you go out there.
Yeah, so that's really cool that you're able to gather that information from that API. Is the sightseeing score like a 1 to 10 kind of rating?
Yeah. Yep, it's up to 10. And I only wanted results with a 9 or above because I don't want you to be in the middle of nowhere, you know, just because we randomly suggested it.
Got it. Well, I think at this point I'm happy to go there too. But no, this is really great, Deleasa. Really impressive. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay and Deleasa. Next up, we have Sean, and your panelist will be Joey.
Okay. Everybody see? Okay, so I love baseball. It's been a big part of my life growing up, going to games, playing, stuff like that. So I built a baseball almanac. And so you can search by teams or players. You can pick a single franchise or see all. You can search players by last name, letter that starts with. On the franchises page, I put some information about the various leagues and associations that make up Major League Baseball throughout the years. If you go to the bottom, I put in pagination to break up rather than having a giant list of teams. Being from Chicago, I'm a Cubs fan, so we're gonna go there. On this franchise overall page, you can see their overall stats throughout the years. Data dates back to 1876. You can see year by year, wins, losses, winning percentage. Scroll through and you can pick a year. And then you can see the individual stats for that year, hitting stats, pitching stats, and eventually when it loads, the game info for the individual games that they've played in that season. You can then pick individual game, click on the date, and that'll take you to the game page. You can see the matchup, final score, ballpark it was played in, the date, visiting team lineup, the home team lineup, and then the individual events that happened in that game for each batter. On the player side, there are buttons up there. You know, the players, again, they're listed by last name, starts automatically loads with A if you look at all players. You can search over here for any letter. Again, bottom of the page, I had to break these up because some of them are thousands of players long. So click on an individual player, and it brings up their individual stats, player info. If they were inducted to the Hall of Fame, this pops up telling you what year. If they were more known as a hitter, you'll see their batting stats first. Pitcher, you'll see their pitching stats. Award information for what year, what award they won. All-star game appearances down here. And for newer, more recent players, there would be salary information as well. So it starts with his hitting stats. I made some charts breaking down hit totals over the years, his batting average, slugging percentage by year, and then it's supposed to be K stats and walk stats, but due to issues with the data, since they're not tracking intentional walks, it doesn't load for this particular player. You can click over here to see the different stats. So it'll load his pitching stats for the year, postseason, and then more charts down here for different things. His per nine rates, ERA, WHIP, runs allowed per nine, and his walk and K percentage throughout his career. And that's my app.
Sean. You can go ahead, Joey. And Joey, feel free to ask about where Sean got the data and how he put it in tables.
Yeah, that was on my list. Really lovely work. Everything is very I like the styling. It's like very clean and very legible, especially since there's like so much information, and the way you broke it up with the pagination is really, really nice. Yeah, so tell me, I'm assuming this is not all hard coded and you used a third-party API to get all this info, right?
So there are two different websites. One is the Laman database and one is called RetroSheets. And the Laman database was CSV files I downloaded and then parsed them into the different tables I made. The RetroSheet stuff was more difficult. That was for the individual game event files, and they come in a weird file type, ends in a .ev, A or N. And I found a tool to turn them into CSVs, and then from there I had to parse those and put that into tables. And in total, it was something like 15, 16 million lines of or rows.
So this actually all does live in your database.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, because then one of my other questions was, we start this process by like planning the schema and stuff. How it feels like there's a lot of like interrelated things. So how is that? How is the planning process versus the final product?
Well, so I got very lucky because on the actual stats side where those CSV files came from, each player has a player ID, and that player ID shows up on every single page. As long as there's information about them, it's on that CSV. So nice. Connecting those were really simple. It was a little more difficult for connecting the two different websites. Just had to go through different tables in different ways.
Yeah.
And that was, so I don't know if you can see it, but there was a delay in loading the game events because it's doing multiple searches and the SQL queries weren't.
Yeah. Cool. So then just that's awesome. Yeah, I was like, I can't. The further you got into it, I was like, oh God, this must have just been such a trial. So like, congrats, because you did it and it looks great. So got another chart, boys. So I got to ask about the charts. How was it implementing those since you have all of this crazy data? And then on top of that, I'm just curious, because I'm assuming that this is all from the same external thing that you brought in. Was it, after you figured out the first one, was it easy to implement all of them, or are the different chart styles each their own beast?
So they're from HighCharts, using their library. Shout out to Ryan. He helped me a lot getting them up and running. It was basically, like he said, you have to put everything in its own individual object. For the years, had to all go in an object, and then each year's that data has to go, the data has to match up. So once I got the first one up and running, the others were easy, but this was just taking data straight from that I already had and putting that in. These stats had to be created because this doesn't exist in the data itself. So I had to write code to do the math to come up with the slugging percentage or batting average, things like that, and then put that into the object to put on the chart.
Wow, that's super cool. Well, I don't have any other questions, but really great work. That's a lot of behind the scenes complexity. So congrats. Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey and Sean. Next up, Jonathan, and your panelist will be Jay.
Let me know if you cannot see my screen for some reason. Okay, get started. So my name is Jonathan, and this is my app. I called it Artivity Loft. So basically the purpose of this app was to kind of connect and keep people informed about different music releases, different upcoming events as far as creative arts and performing arts are concerned. So we're gonna scroll up here and log in and get started. Gonna log in with this guy Al here. Okay, log in. It's gonna shoot us to the main board. It's almost kind of sort of like a social media main feed type of thing. Got a couple of facts that get uploaded on here. Got a this day in music. little bit on some upcoming theater related stuff. Excuse me. Let me scroll down. We got some other more upcoming events here. It shows you a couple things that are showing now. Last Chance documentary that just got done, finished playing. Show you some up and coming movie releases as well. Black Widow. Then if we scroll back up to the top, click my profile, we go check out Al's profile here. I'm gonna show you all of Al's posts. Some random posts. Looks like Al's not too happy basketball isn't on right now. Not sure where that phrase came from. I feel like I heard some guy in pre-work say that. So we just kind of threw that out in there. We go to new posts. So Al can make a post here. It takes text there, and you can also kind of add in an image URL. If you want to upload a picture, brings us back to Al's page there. We can scroll down and kind of see it updates right away. And of course, if you don't like it, he can delete that right away also. We'll come back to the main board here. And that's pretty much it for the most part. Just wanted to show a way where people can kind of come and learn about different news related stuff about creative and performing arts, as well as stay connected with other users. And of course, if you scroll to the bottom, got this random guy's name on the bottom here that created it, brings you to this nice page here if you want to learn more about him. And that's pretty much it.
Cool. Thank you, Jonathan. Jay, you can go ahead.
Hey, Jonathan, this is a fantastic application. What gave you the idea to build this particular app?
I was trying to do kind of sort of along a social media type of thing, something where artists themselves, as well as people that are just kind of fans of the arts, can kind of come get different news kind of updates on stuff that's going on. I didn't get a chance to throw it in, but I wanted to put some stuff on upcoming events and get a little bit more specific and detailed with it, but give people an opportunity to kind of learn about events that are near them or going on around the city and stuff like that. But basically just keep folks informed without having to kind of go to another site.
Yeah, no, I know it really brings that all together, and it looks great as well. What would, if you had more time, what would the next feature be you'd put in here?
So, two things that I didn't get a chance to do that I wanted to. I wanted to get this search bar over here in the top right going. I wanted to get it kind of intricate where you can kind of search for different users, search for different things and get that going. I also wanted to play around with the API, a couple music APIs where I can get some stuff that kind of auto populates in here. Like right now, this kind of Frank Sinatra fact, I kind of hard coded that in, but I want to get it where a music of the day fact will get auto populated in once a day.
Yeah, or you just find a fact that's true for every single day. But yeah, no, this is good. This is a really well done, really nice job, Jonathan.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan and Jay. Julia is up next, and her panelist is Joey.
Okay, hey all, can you see my screen? Good, okay. My name is Julia. I built an app called Cardwise, personal finance. I'm a big nerd when it comes to personal finance, and that extends also to the credit cards I use. So one of my favorite credit cards is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which can be a really good credit card for people who travel a lot. And I found myself more than once trying to convince friends and family that it's worth it for them to get, but sometimes it's a little hard to convince people to get this card because it does have a very high sticker price. The fee is $550 for the card annually. So I wrote an app that does a cost benefit analysis based on the user's spending to find out if the credit card is worth it to them and how much it's worth to them after the fee. So the UI is pretty simple. There's just one form here and then a button that does your cost benefit analysis. I pre-filled out the spending habits of two hypothetical people. So let's say this is a young professional that spends about $1,800 a month on their credit card. And I won't go through all the questions, but I'll touch on some of the ones that impact the analysis the most. So $1,800 a month on the card. They plan to spend about $4,000 in the next year on flights, and they don't have global entry or TSA pre-check, but those things would be worth $100 to them. They'd be willing to spend $100 on those. So this user's, if they go ahead and click the button, they're actually getting about $1,400 of benefit out of the card. After the $550 fee, the user is getting about between $800 and $900 of value out of this card. Show you my other hypothetical user, which I modeled after my little brother, who is frugal to a fault. He only spends about $500 a month on his credit card, and let's see, he's gonna spend he'll spend $1,000 in the next year on flights, and he doesn't have global entry or pre-check, but he would value those things at $50. So if he clicks here, this card is not worth it for him. He's only getting $430 of benefit out of the card after the fee. That's a net benefit of negative $120. So he'd just be paying $120 for a fancy piece of plastic. The user can also, if you want to learn more about the assumptions behind the analysis, if you just click here, it'll take you to some disclaimers and information about the assumptions. And if you decide you're ready to apply for the credit card, click on apply now, and this link takes you straight to the Chase site. So that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Julia. Joey, you can go ahead.
Really great work. It's very clean and professional looking. I like just like the green and the white, and the green is very, it's not too on the nose with the money, but it's like there, you know. Yeah, so tell me about the process. Did you already is this something like going in, you were like, I already have all the math, I already know all the info, or is that something that you had to do research on? Yeah, answer that first and then I'll have more questions, but yeah, go ahead.
Sure, good question. So I did know off the top of my head sort of like the most high level parts of the perks of this card, the ones that people tend to think about first because they tend to get the most value out of them. So
sure,
one of those is like everyone gets a $300 travel credit every year. And then there's a $50,000 sign-on bonus. Sorry, not $50,000, 50,000 points. If you spend at least $4,000 in the first 3 months of getting the card, and you get 3% back on travel and dining and 1% back on everything else. And those points are worth 50% more if you use them towards travel. So I knew those parts. Sorry if that was a little too deep, but there's all these other perks that I didn't know about that have to do with the Lyft Pink membership and a DoorDash membership. And you also get complimentary concierge service. I didn't even know what that was before I made this app, so I had to look that up.
Nice. So you like came in being like, this is a good card, and then you do the research and you're like, actually, this is amazing. Cool. That's really neat. If you were going to take this, not saying that you need to because it's a wonderfully beautiful, fully thought out app, but if you were going to expand it, where would you see room for expansion? What would you like to do? As well as if you want to talk about if you had things that you weren't able to do, what were the struggles involved with that?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot I would like to add to this. For one, I think users are probably interested in learning like the steps that the algorithm is going to get to their answer. Sure. So I want to add some probably a button that says learn more about this analysis, and then it'll expand and show you all of the factors that went into your analysis. I also would like to thank you for complimenting the interface. But I'm not fully satisfied with it yet. What I would like to do ideally is have each question just be on its own page, and then you sort of would click through
Sure.
each question. So it would just be like very clean.
Yeah.
And that would have been harder than I originally envisioned to implement, because there's two ways I could have done that. Either I could have everyone I could actually create a user database, and then your answers would be stored as you went, or I could use query parameters to store their answers in the URL as they fill them out. And I didn't have time to figure those out before this, but those are two things I want to do. And then I would also like to add other high fee credit cards to this. So like in theory, you could just fill out one form about your spending habits, and then at the end, we can do a cost benefit analysis for more than one credit card, and you can compare like which one is worth the most to you.
Cool. Well, that's really interesting and great work. It looks amazing, and I hope you can finally convince some of your friends and family, look, here's the money value, so you can't laugh at me anymore. But great work.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Julia and Joey. Next up, Marina, and your panelist will be Jay.
You're muted, Moreno.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Marina.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, hi, my name is Marino, and this is Let's Roll app. So I created this app to devote it to people who practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And if you have by any chance watched any UFC fight, you might have seen a lot of like arm bars, here neck chokes, and all these techniques comes from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's kind of essential to every fighter to have a good knowledge on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu today. So it's practiced all over the world. And so when you're going to the class, you always want to get better in your game. So you're looking to refine your positions as something more specific. And when you're searching on YouTube and you try to find some positions to watch, and you kind of get overwhelmed by a lot of videos, you kind of can have a hard time to find some specifics you're looking for. So I tried with this app to make it easier to search for positions and to what is specific you're looking. Okay, so to start, I'm going to log in. Oops. Then you're going to get redirected to the positions. Here you can see all the positions available. You can scroll through, but you're going to be easier to refine your search. Here you can type, and you're going to any specific words, and you can also select type of position, something more broad, or you can select some tags if you can try to get something more specific. And maybe I'll look to X guard and open guard. That's also Z guard. I've been working on my guards lately. So if you click search, you're gonna get all the positions you're looking for. So you can notice my styling is a bit different than Bootstrap, but I use a component that's based on Bootstrap and just has a bit more styling. I really like those. And so once you get your positions, and you can add those positions like to your favorites, you can maybe watch later. So I'm gonna watch add this one, also this one. 3, it's good for now. Also, you can create a position, you haven't seen watched that cool video, so you can maybe want to share to everyone else. So I'm gonna choose one just to show. This is Z guard pass. Okay. And okay, Z guard. I think that's good. So once you create, you get redirect, and you can find your position here. And yeah, if you look for Z guard, you can see the one I just added. So you can have also your profile where you have like your avatar, your where you're from, your gym, your affiliations. And if you maybe want to update any info, you can go easily update here. Here you can find all your positions you posted. So all posts that I created, you can easily go to them, edit and update any info, delete it. And here are my favorites that when I added from my search. So I added those 3 positions, and if you want to delete it, just click here. It's going to be deleted. And if you want just to take a better look at that position, you can click and have a bigger browser, a bigger video player, and you can just create. It's going to play a video from YouTube and have a description, and you can also post comments if you want to ask any questions or just say thank you for the post that someone did it. And you can delete if it's your comment. And I think that's it. That's roll up. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Marina. Jay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, really nice job, Marina. This is really amazing. There's so many different features here, and it's just one really clean app, so it just incorporates them all really nicely. So like there, I see search and tags and the comments and a lot of different a lot of these features. Which feature of the app would you say you're most proud of?
I really like the way I put up the styling. With styling takes time, so
It does look really nice.
yes, but all the search parameters, the way I built was not that easy on the back end. So I wanted to make it easier for the person to find that video that is looking for. So to design that, I think was a big challenge at the beginning, but once you get that working on, it's pretty satisfying for sure.
Yeah. So does the search feature work separately in the tags? Like you could put in like just general words or stuff?
Sorry, can you say again?
Yeah, so for the search, so I see you can do a search, but you could also do the tags. When you're doing the plain search, how does that work? You just put in words, and if it matches like the description or something?
Okay, for this search here, I use one library, that's the V2 filters. So you can type any word that's gonna filter that specific word you are looking for. So for directions, so you can see it's just gonna show and info back. And for the types and for the tags, is gonna run another search on my backend and
Yeah.
again position.
Yeah. No, this is really comprehensive, and this is really, really well done, Marina. Really nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina and Jay. Our third panelist has arrived. Welcome, Natalie. And just to be clear, it's my fault. I mixed up the time, wrong time zone, etc. So not her fault, my fault. So welcome, Natalie. Maybe talk a minute about what you do currently and some advice you would have for a new developer at their first job.
Sure. So I'm currently a junior developer at Betterment. And what my advice would be to a new developer is I would not stress not knowing. I've had plenty of times where I've paired with senior developers who miss the comma or the colon or the double quote and one's a single quote. And those times I used to feel really embarrassed that I didn't know that. And then when I would see someone who's been coding for 10 years and miss the same thing, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is not I don't need to stress about this so much. And I would also just absorb all types of information that you can, from your senior developers to watching YouTube videos, or from your friends that you've made during this class. It makes a big difference. And I still lean on a lot of the friends I've made and during my bootcamp session.
Awesome. That made everyone feel so much better about themselves. So next up will be Yossi, and your panelist will be Natalie. Go for it, Yossi.
Hey, I am Yossi, and this is Cyclo Shop, the perfect place to buy and sell used bikes with peace of mind. What do I mean by peace of mind? There are many platforms where one can go and sell their product, such as OfferUp, Letgo, Craigslist, but none of them are really geared towards the cycling community. Often people will post bikes on these sites, and they won't even put what size the bike is. It's not really helpful when you're looking for a bike that might fit you. Additionally, we know of some of the downfalls of dealing on these sites where, somebody might show up to test your bike out and you don't have a bike anymore and didn't get paid either. So with this app, we're going to try to reduce some of that threat. So first, one can get on here, sign up. This is important because all transactions will be linked to the user. So we'll go back in here and sign in. And we'll sign in as Mike today. And we'll come to the main page here. If Mike wanted, he could come over here and post a bike. And again, as I mentioned, unlike other sites, this will have pre-generated inputs, very bike specific, only bike specific. And again, it'll help the buyer down the road. It'll make sure that the seller provides the information necessary to have a successful sale. If you come down here, they will be able to upload photos as well of their bike. But Mike actually already has a bike on the site. So we come back to the main page, and you have icons that are filtered by category. You could click on any of those to filter the searches. You could also search by major brands, or you could just scroll down and view the various bikes that are already posted on the site. So we'll go down here to Mike's bike, which is already posted. And a potential buyer would come here and they'd be able to look at these beautiful pictures that Mike posted. Wow, look how those flip. Very cool. Scroll down a little bit more, you'll see a pronounced price tag, and a little bit more, you see those specs that Mike put in. And because this is Mike's bike, he has the ability to edit that bike. And if he wanted, he can, let's say, lower the price. We're not going to do that right this second because that'll take us back to the main page. Then a little bit more, you have a comment section. This is a really powerful yet simple addition. Anybody on the site, whether they're looking to actually buy this bike or not, can come in and comment on the bike. Even Mike himself could comment on the bike. And it gives a social aspect to the buying process. Maybe somebody, isn't so into biking yet. He's looking to get into biking and isn't really aware of certain things. Maybe just overall, maybe Mike's asking too much. A fellow cyclist might be able to tell a potential buyer that, it's a really nice bike, but maybe too much, or it's a perfect buy or whatever. Lastly, if he clicks up here, he could purchase the bike. And the main thing is that all transactions run through this site. So even to meet up to test ride, one would need to put down a deposit. and only then meet up. And also if they just want to sell or buy, it all runs through the site. And even if they want to negotiate the price, there has to be a handshake between the two parties that would run through here. Both would have to agree on the adjusted price, and then the sale can go through. That is Cyclo Shop. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Yossi. You can go, Natalie.
That was really impressive. You should be so proud. So I have a couple questions here. It looks like you worked really hard on the front end. Did you find that you preferred the front end over the back end, or vice versa?
Vice versa.
And generally, that's how I felt too. What is one of the biggest challenges you felt like you overcame when you were creating this?
Yeah, so this slide component was a bit tricky, but actually probably the hardest thing was getting this toggle to work. Apparently, when you use a theme, a pre-generated theme, they don't make it necessarily that the toggle will just work. And I actually had to spend probably days to get it to do this. So
that's pretty awesome. I know that must have been a big struggle. Were there any APIs that you may consider using on this app in the future, or is it something that you kind of want to leave it as is?
Yeah, I expected to have more available. I only found one, at least for bikes. I only found one and didn't seem to really meet my needs. I would like to incorporate a map feature that will show the potential buyer where the seller is selling the bike from, just to so to add a location aspect into that, so that you might be able to filter by location, and that way if it's something that you can meet up and actually test ride.
Well, this is pretty awesome. I could see the actual use case of something like this, especially like living in New York City. This is something that I know a lot of my friends and family, and my fiance buys like bikes, and this can be a difficult process. So well done.
Thank
you. Thank you, Yossi and Natalie. Next up, we'll have Ariana, and her panelist will be Joey.
Okay, just give me a second, please. Oh. Okay. So you guys can see my screen? Yes. So the name of my app is Cherry Chooser. One of the reasons I chose this app is because I'm really big into like volunteer work and charity, and find like volunteer work is kind of easy, but like find the charity, some people has like parameters for make donations. You don't want to just donate your money, and you also want to know a little bit about the charity. So the front page, I put like the definition of charity, that is a system of giving money, food, or help free to those who are in need because they are sick, poor, or have no home, or any organization that has the purpose of providing money or helping in this way. What I do is, Charity Chooser allows you to choose from virtually every registered church in the US, well as other organizations such as community groups, which have a recognized shared purpose. So this is the part of the team, I mean. So this is the sign up page. So you scroll down and go to the sign up page. In my app, I like the idea of before you make a search, you sign up. So I can control who is using the app. So I'm not like doing the sign up because I already did the sign up before, but as soon as you do the sign up, the page redirects you to the login page. So you can click here and go right away if you already like have an account. I did one for Brian because it's a small name, you know. So if I remember his password, it's not hard. So after you log in, you go right away for the chooser of my Cherry Chooser. app. So you can choose by the name. Sometimes you know the name of the church, so you can go through here and go to the, because some church has like a website for you to donate. Sometimes you go for state because you live in the state, or sometimes there is a natural disaster in the state and you want to help. If you help the church, you are helping the state, or the city, or the zip code if you want to be closer to your house. They score because charities usually they are hating. They have a hate scale from 1 to 5. 1 means they are performing under the industry standards, and 5 is like they're really good. They are performing over the industry standards. And the last one is deductibility. Sorry. Means you can, the amount you donate, you can deduct from your taxes by the end of the year. You can choose all the parameters, or you can put just one. Now I'm going to put Texas. I don't know why, but I always put Texas. I don't even went there, but I always do that. So you go to Texas and so this is the church you have in Texas. For example, the first one, St. Boniface Parish. Stay in Texas, and the city is Hobson. There's the zip code. The score is 1. It means they are under the standards. And they don't provide the category. And the deductibility equals 1 means if the amount you donate, you can use in your taxes by the end of the year. You can click here and go to the website of the church, so you can know a little bit about the church. So you can read the exemption, the address, you can call them and make questions. And here, the second URL is the donation URL. So you can come here and donate 35, 60, 100, 200, 200, 500, how much you want to donate. So the next one is the donor. Here, something here. Let me go back to Texas just so I don't have to type the name. So let's choose this one, Fellowship of Christian, because Brian is Christian, right? So the name, so here is a page, for example, Brian made a donation. So after he went through, he made the donation through the website, he go back to my app and he add data. For example, he puts the church name, the church state, Texas, his full name, Brian Rice, and how much he donated, 250. You're a nice person. You submit, and here, and you redirect for another page. That is one is who is receiving, and you can see here in the end of the page the date of Brian. I really like this page because I think one is nice when you make a volunteer work or you donor. It's a nice feeling to have when you see your name, like, oh, I help others. And for the reason, I think is a really power info for the charity, because you can work in your weakness. You can see who is donating, what's the age range, so you can market on top of this, make some advertisements. So I really have a report about who is donating and who is not donating. And this is the logout page. You redirect for the main page. That's it. I think I talked a little fast. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Ariana. Jay, you can go ahead.
Sorry.
Wait, it was Ariana Joey.
I was like, Jay or Joey? I thought you said my name.
Yeah, there's so many J's, it's difficult. Go ahead, Jay.
I know, it's thank God Natalie's here to break that up. Hi, lovely work. I especially love this front page is really clean, and I like the muted colors that you chose. The color scheme is really lovely. So did you work with any third-party APIs for this? If so, what was that experience like?
Oh yes, I did. I even make a reference here in the lab. See, it's an org hunter. And
okay.
I did that because, they helped me out. So I put there over there.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I work with this API.
Cool. Did you so how was it using the API? Was the documentation easy to understand? And did you know going into designing your schema that you were using this API, and did you model your database after that? Is your database very different?
Oh, first I got in this API and I read everything about the data, and then I did my schema based in the API, and then I was working for Brian. It was like, oh, it was hard for me remember the names that they put down, like the charity name, because it was really different. Then I had to recreate my schema again. So I had to recreate because it was horrible to work with. So it's not, yes, it was a little tricky in the beginning, but then it was fine.
Yeah, I was about to say that's always the rough part with third-party APIs is it's like, why did you name it this? It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, like, yeah, true.
So you mentioned that the donor page is really nice because charities can like use that for
Yes.
like, their statistics and stuff. And then you mentioned like by age group and stuff, but I noticed that there wasn't any age present. Is that like a future feature that you want to put in, or is that something? Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yes, I mean, I didn't put the parameter, but I could do it. I mean, I have a lot of friends who make donations, and because there is a huge amount of parameters. I have a friend of mine who just donate for charities. If the CEO not make a lot of money, because you have like huge charities that the CEO make like $1 million a year, and for her doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a variety of parameters, and I definitely could add more. So yes, if a feature thing, I could definitely add more.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I guess those are all the questions that I have. Really lovely work. It looks really nice and it works really well. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ariana and Joey. Brian, you are up next, and your panelist is Jay.
Alrighty. So hi everyone, my name is Brian. For the Capstone project, I was kind of trying to think of what I could do. I knew that I wanted to build something that replicated a social network, and I knew I wanted to build something around music. And what I came upon was that being a musician myself, I'm kind of one of those people that I'm working on a ton of projects all the time, but for every project, I'm like, that's not finished yet. It will be soon. It's not finished yet. And I never really want to put anything out into the world because, it's a little daunting. So I built a platform because the music industry has kind of been so hurt throughout this whole pandemic as well, kind of moving to an increasingly remote world. I wanted to build something that musicians could share their projects on, whether they're finished or unfinished, get constructive feedback on them, and even find collaborators based on their location. So I kind of built an About Us page to say that a little longer. And then I have this little footer here if anyone wants to get in touch. I'm going to log into the page here. And once I log in, it'll take me to the home page where I have a custom timeline based on the people that I follow of tracks that they have posted. As you can see, I have a status column of finished or unfinished. And each file has its own image, name, username, as well as MP3 file. I used the view audio component to get the MP3 files in there, get them to play. Each MP3 is unique and they are functional. I'll just play one here. The fast forward and rewind works as well. And we have a volume bar on the side here. So if I click on a project, I'll be able to go to the post show page, see all the information about the post. This user, which is me, is located in Burlington, Vermont. You can see no one has liked or commented on this post. I'll go to, a post that has some comments just to see what it looks like. Two people have liked this one. It's got some comments as well. You can see this user is located in Burlington, Vermont, and the status of this track is unfinished as of now. You can leave your own comment or like the post, as well as filter out users within this specific area. And if I click on the user, I can go to his user profile, get a little bit more info, see how many people are following him, or how many he's following, as well as all of his posts. If you like a post and you see yourself collaborating with this person, you can follow them or even send them a direct message. You can also post your own songs. I have a post page here where you can upload a local MP3 file as well as an image, and it'll pump it out onto the timeline of the people that you follow. That's the general gist of it. Be happy to take some questions.
Cool. Thank you, Brian. You can go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, this is amazing, Brian. You went through it quickly, but there's a lot of features. It's really jam-packed. So some questions that I have is, well, I guess firstly, when the user uploads their photo and their song, their MP3 file, where does that go? Where does that get stored?
It gets stored in the MP3 files themselves right now are stored in the front end in the public folder. And then each MP3 has, or each post has a file column in the back end, which would store the name of the file as a string, and that gets sent through the view audio component.
Got it. So for now, it's in the file system.
Right.
Got it. Cool. What was it like to implement the player, the song player with Vue? Was that like, did it just go, or was there a lot of wrangling?
No, that was definitely the toughest part of it. I was playing around with it for a really long time, and then the timeline aspect of it, I was getting it to work, but all of the MP3s were the same rather than like each unique MP3 for each post. So that was kind of tough to sort through, but I ultimately got that portion to where I wanted it to be. I think the next step would be to kind of implement like a waveform of the MP3 over the post image. There's some APIs that I found to do that, but I just didn't really find the time.
That's cool. The various like components of the actual player, like the play button, the volume slider, and the stop, etc. Are those do those come as a package, or do you have to implement them separately, or choose which ones you want?
So there's a view audio component, and you can kind of choose which features you want within the component. And I even added like a download feature where you can click this button here, and it'll actually download the song. So that like if you want to collaborate with that person, it's super easy to just shoot them a message, get their work, and get together.
Yeah, that's super cool. This is really impressive, Brian. Really nice job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brian and Jay. Next up is Cale, and your panelist will be Natalie.
I'm Cale, and welcome to a boot track. So I'm a big avid hiker, and a lot of my friends and family are hikers. So I wanted to create an app where people could not only go to search for new places to hike, but also log their hikes and be able to share those hikes with their friends. So we'll get started here by logging in. I'm going to log in as Jake here. No, I'm actually not going to log in as Jake. We're going to log in as Becky. I got to give a shout out to my wife for all the time that she's let me dedicate to this class and watching my son and bringing me meals or beverages during class. So log in as Becky here. So when I get to the landing page, she can kind of do two different things. If Becky had previously hiked and she wanted to just log a previous hike, she could just click here and add the hike. So put in the name of the hike, the miles, put in a picture, put in some comments about it. But let's say Becky didn't know where she wanted to hike yet. She could go to the top here and go to where to hike. So on this page, I integrated a search bar on the top where I happen to live in Wisconsin. So if she just searched for best hikes in Wisconsin, it would search and say she wants to click on here, bring her to this site where it's going to tell us the best hikes in Wisconsin. So scrolling down, it looks like Devil's Lake is the best hike in Wisconsin. So Becky's decided that's where she's going to go. Devil's Lake, West Bluff Trail, 4.7 miles. So we will head there. So let me close this out. Now I can click on the map here to type in Devil's Lake, just get an idea of kind of what what she's going to be getting herself into. So that'll take us to Devil's Lake here, so I can kind of see as I zoom out a little bit. There's quite the contour around this lake, so I can know that I'm going to be in for, or she's going to be in for quite a workout. So now she's went and she's done the hike and she's ready to save the hike into the system so that her friends can see it and share. So she's going to go to add a hike and type in Devil's Lake. So it was 4.7 miles. Put in a picture and comments. These bluffs are really big. So she adds the hike. And here she is. Here's the picture that she saved in. Her kicking her feet up about halfway through. She was enjoying a nice cold beer. And she happened to get lost on the way out after having that beer. So she, instead of her hike being 4.7 miles, ended up being 5.6 miles. So she could save that back into the database as 5.6 miles. And now she's got that hike saved. If Becky wanted to go to her all hikes page here, she could see some of the other hikes that she's went on. So here she's got all of her different hikes that she's went on. She could sort them by name or by miles. Currently they're sorted by name, but if you want to sort them by miles, she could do that. If you wanted to search for the hike that she just created, she could search there and it would bring up just the hike. So obviously not a hugely useful feature now with such limited data, but as her hikes grow, that would become a pretty useful feature to come back to. The last thing I wanted to share with is the friends tab. So Becky has some friends that she has on Boot Tracks that she can check what they're doing and how many miles they've been hiking. So she clicks on this page, she just sees a table that has some of her friends that she has. Looks like her friend Jake has been hiking quite a bit. But Becky looks like she's second on the list, so she's not bad, not doing bad, but not as good as Jake. But that about wraps it up, and that is Boot Tracks. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Cale. You can go ahead, Natalie.
Congrats, it looks great. I did have a couple questions. So it looks like you're using 2 different APIs, if I'm correct, or was that just one?
On the where to hike page, it was a Mapbox API for the map, and then this was just like a Google. I guess I don't even know if I would call it an API. It was just like a kind of like a component for the search bar.
Okay, awesome. Did you find that it was difficult to implement both of those, or was one easier than the other?
The search bar was definitely a lot easier. The map definitely took some playing around. I originally had the idea to use like a hiking API and like be able to place like when they would search, it would actually come up with different hikes, different trails right on the map. But I had difficulty getting that API to kind of work together with the mapping API. So I had to kind of scrap that idea. Something I would like to go back to try to get that to work.
If you had, let's say, an extra 8 weeks to work on this, if boot camp was extended, what other features would you add?
Well, I would definitely do the one that I was just talking about. And I really, I guess when I dreamed this idea at first, I really wanted it to be where like on the map here, a user could like click on a start point and then click on an end point. and then it would like show them miles and show them a route similar to like when you're driving your car and you click on your start and end location, and it kind of draws that geo JSON line for you. And there is some so there is the capability to do that with Mapbox. I just kind of ran out of time. I got stuck on some styling things on the front end that ate a few days of my time on me.
That's completely understandable. Did you prefer the front end or did you prefer the back end?
I think I appreciate both of them. I think the back end obviously came a little bit easier because I think we had done so much with Rails that, I mean, the front end, it is satisfying to like make a change and then have that see that change instantly on the screen rather than just seeing an array or an error message on the back end.
Oh, awesome. That's all my questions. This is an accomplishment, especially during, you know, these times right now. So, you know, congratulations, and I hope we keep working on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cale and Natalie. Last up, we will have Chikandi, and Joey will be his panelist. Go for it, Chikandi.
All right, very good. Let's jump right in. First and foremost, my background is in education. I'm a teacher, Spanish and education, Spanish and English by trade. All right, so in 2020, education in the classroom is not the regular rudimentary brick and mortar pen and paper that most of us grew up with. Can you see my screen, Brian, or not?
I can see it, but it just says Quest and it's a black background.
Perfect. All right. So let's so anyway, in 2020, how do we as teachers and grab these learners' attention that are bombarded by screens and technology momentarily? The answer is that we meet their hyper technological world with super advanced cutting edge technology as it is. So let's dive right in. Let's do that. All right, so this is a virtual reality framework. First, the learner is engrossed in this VR, virtual reality interface, and they're met with this introductory review. All right, so we click on this portal here. Okay, it says, so touch the cylinder. We have this cone, we touch it, incorrecto. We touch this cube, it's incorrecto. Cilindro is right here, and it opens a portal for us. And there we go. Now we're advanced to the next level here. Toca el cubo. All right, our cube is right here. Toca el cubo. We advance to our next level here. We are still in this environment. Right here. We advance to our next level. Yeah, so this is a formative assessment that can be used in the classroom as virtual education. Last thing we got to touch is our esfera, which is right here, our sphere. We touch it. And here we are to advance to our final level. Yeah, you see, I produce and make music, and a lot of the asset folder is comprised of some amazing beats that I've composed. But here we go. It says, congratulations, felicidades, you have learned your shapes, adios. So if you would like to play again, you can absolutely play again. If not, you don't have to play again. You've already learned the form. What we're gonna try to do now is load it onto our Oculus Quest headset. Let's see if this will work. All right, so if you can still see, we're gonna play one more time. And let's try to jump into this environment. Here we already see we are in the Oculus lobby space. Our assets are loading. And let's go 3-dimensional. And here's our view right here. And we're right back at the beginning. And we're loaded into the headset. And yes, that is our VR education app that we have created. Awesome. Voila.
Thank you, Chikandi. You can go ahead. I forgot who it is. I think it's Joey. It's Joey.
Once again, my mind is blown. This is so cool. And also, what little I heard of your beats, dope. Sounds great. Wow, this is so cool. So I have a couple questions. The first one is, so is this a plugin? Like, what did you start out with?
All right, so we were talking about capstones, and immediately I approached Brian about how I should approach my affinity with AR technology. And the framework that we used wasn't Ruby. It's an HTML framework called A-Frame.
Okay.
Which uses HTML so we're loading in A-Frame immediately. Here we have, here's just an example script that we have. We load an A-Frame, we have our boxes, we have our spheres, we have our cylinders, planes, whatever, and you got to kind of manipulate your environment to create whatever you're trying to achieve.
Cool. So then all of the levels, then I would surmise, are like hard coded in this HTML that the A-Frame then translates into this.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's multiple different complexities to all of this. And so we had event listeners on changing the color of whatever shape the mouse entered on.
Sure.
You know, opening the portals, loading in the different sounds and musics and this, that, this. So yeah.
This is like, just because I'm also very fascinated with AR and VR. So do you know, is this compatible with like other frameworks? If you wanted to use something like Vue.js doesn't really work for something like this. I mean, it could, but like if you wanted to use React or Angular, do you know if those play together nicely? Because I mean, you're talking about event listeners and stuff.
Our fearless leader, Brian Rice, actually, he was like, hey, let's try to make it work with Vue.js, and he kind of got it working. Ultimately, for me to accomplish what I was trying to do, I didn't use Vue.
Sure.
So yeah.
Cool. But it does, okay.
JavaScript is kind of what's the machine behind the scenes working through all of this.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I'd be interested to know, because like Vue is very complex, but if you use something like React, it's a little more pared down, so it might like play a little nicer. Yeah, I don't know. So if I'm just trying to think of questions because I'm just like reeling because it's really cool. If you had more time and you were going to expand it, what would you like to add to it?
Ultimately, this virtual reality education will most probably be my life's work, and we'll probably transfer all of this into, you know, or actually we could work with JavaScript to track correct answers, wrong answers, to do more mobility with all the shapes and objects that we're throwing into these environments. And so that's kind of what we're gonna, or what I hope to do with this project.
Cool.
Just yeah, and you know, have different load in your user. What did you get correct? What do you already know? What scene do you need to be placed in? Where do we put you next? You know, like this was 3D objects. We can throw you in a kitchen. We can actually throw you into Madrid, Spain, and, you know, have you interact with a 3D 360 environment where you're using voice activation, where you're, I don't know, learning different salsa dances. It's possibilities are endless. So
Cool.
yeah,
Well, yeah, that really, really impressive, really great work.
appreciate it.
Congrats.
Awesome.
Thank you to Chikandi and Joey. So Chikandi was the last up. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to try to do one sentence of all the thank yous. Thank you to Lisa, the career advisor. Thank you to the TAs, Lauren and Bart. Thank you to the panelists, Natalie and Joey. Thank you to a panelist and CEO, Jay. And of course, thank you to all of the presenters here who made this day possible. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.